Who doesn't love a good comeback story? Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 video game franchise comebacks. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we'll be examining the individual games that either revived franchises from the dead or reinvigorated series that had lost some of their luster. Number 10, Fire Emblem Awakening. Although this tactical role-playing series wasn't necessarily struggling before the release of this game, its home console titles were still relatively niche. Awakening took the franchise to another level with its greater degree of accessibility, simplifying the interface and returning the series to a handheld console. The game also featured a lot of nods to older games, plenty of customization, and tons of bonus content. Awakening helped remind veteran fans why they loved the series and introduced newcomers to what made the Fire Emblem franchise great in the first place.
Quite an entrance. What's your name?
Number 9, Metroid Prime. Once a flagship Nintendo franchise, Metroid had kind of faded into the background in the late 90s. But all that changed with the release of Metroid Prime for the GameCube. The game transitioned the series to the third dimension spectacularly, while also switching to a first-person shooting perspective. The combat system and interface were also altered with the change in viewpoint, adding new depth and complexity to the series' already impressive atmospheric environments, exploration, and puzzle solving. All in all, Metroid Prime was a shot in the arm that the franchise needed, though it wouldn't be the last time the series got a much-needed boost. Number 8, XCOM, Enemy Unknown.
We've picked up a local broadcast indicating alien activity within a major metropolitan area. We should get down there and eliminate any hostiles.
Following nearly a decade without a new entry, many fans of the series were worried when a new XCOM game was announced back in 2010 as a first-person shooter, a complete departure from everything that made XCOM, well, XCOM. Enter Enemy Unknown, which returned to the series' roots while also introducing new elements, as well as offering addictive gameplay that's easy to pick up but really tough to master. Like any good comeback game, it catered to longtime fans, while also drawing in new players and putting XCOM back on the map. As for the shooter version of XCOM, well, that became The Bureau, XCOM Declassified, and was promptly forgotten.
Find out what they want, where they're operating from.
Yes. That possibility outweighs all risks, in my opinion.
Number 7, Wolfenstein The New Order.
This time, we get the job done. Now let's go. Let's move it on.
The Wolfenstein games have been a seminal series in the first-person shooter genre since Wolfenstein 3D way back in 1992. But fans of the series have suffered through long periods of inactivity and stagnation. Cue Wolfenstein The New Order. Set in an alternate version of Europe where Nazi Germany won the Second World War, the game features a more involved story than its predecessors, as well as offering several variations on that storyline. In addition, and probably most importantly, the combat was intensely satisfying. The New Order raised the bar for both the series and for single-player first-person shooters. Number 6, Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Oh look! Seraph's attack dog! You here to clean up before the police bust in?
After 8 years without a new entry, the Deus Ex series appeared dead in the water, but Human Revolution breathed new life into the franchise. The game retained the combination of stealth, shooting, and role-playing elements that made the combat so varied in the previous entries, in addition to the diverse paths that the players could take in the story, while adding further depth to both. The improved graphics and cyberpunk atmosphere also helped to attract new players and turn the series from a cult hit into a mainstream success.
Help me!
Number 5, Tomb Raider. The Tomb Raider franchise has had a rocky history with several ups and downs, but it definitely rebounded with this prequel game. Taking Lara Croft back to her beginnings, the game strips away the mystique of the character, along with adding a degree of realism to her, the game's combat, and the graphics. Tomb Raider also incorporates more survival and exploration elements in the gameplay. This entry proved that sometimes the best way to fly high is to come back down to earth.
I'm close to something. I'm sure of it. I just don't know if the others will listen.
Number 4, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. This game put the Resident back in Resident Evil. What's that? Everyone has already used that joke? Yeah, whatever. After several games in the series ventured into action territory, Resident Evil's 7th main installment brought the franchise back to its survival horror roots. Biohazard features a creepy setting, more limitations on weapons and ammo, and a switch from the heretofore standard third-person perspective to a first-person one, all of which helped bring the game commercial and critical success, and make for a truly visceral experience to boot.
Got you! Don't you worry none!
Number 3, Mortal Kombat 2011. The 2000s were a period of stagnation for the Mortal Kombat series, particularly in terms of narrative and the underwhelming 3D entries in the series. This title brought the series back into the limelight, a soft reboot of the whole franchise. Mortal Kombat's 9th main game used a time travel plot device to return to the franchise's origins. The graphical improvements, signature gore, responsive controls, and well-told story all helped engage new players, while the game's tributes to the series' past helped older fans want to test their might all over again. Number 2, Donkey Kong Country. Although early Donkey Kong games in the 1980s were among the most influential in all of video gaming, the franchise went without a new entry for almost over a decade. The series came back with a vengeance with Donkey Kong Country, which switched the gameplay to side-scrolling platforming and featured a significant leap in graphical quality, with innovative pre-rendered 3D sprites. While we considered choosing Donkey Kong Country Returns instead, since it also reinvigorated the franchise after a long absence, ultimately we had to go with the original. Number 1, Doom. The follow-up to Doom 3, this game marked the return of one of the first franchises in the FPS genre back to the world stage following a long absence. As a reboot of the franchise, Doom perfectly blends modern graphics and storytelling with the conventions of first-person shooter games of the past, with health packs, lots of ridiculous weapons, and frenetic combat. The last of these is the real meat of the game, and Doom embraces its past by creating incredibly satisfying, ultra-violent battles that never feel stale. Doom may be about hell on Mars, but it's absolutely heavenly for anyone who enjoys games of the genre. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.